Okay, so I want to continue learning this Torah from Nachman in Likutei Moharan Torah Samach Aleph Chadir Rishimin, and it's been a little bit. We missed a week. I want to go back a little bit to the paragraph that starts V'yesh manhigim shenikrayim. Okay, so we're talking about Emunas Chachamim, and we're talking about the importance of Emunas Chachamim and the importance of. Now Rabbi Nachman is going to say the importance of finding the right chachamim, the right person to give over our emunah to. And we're going to talk about what happens when it's not necessarily the right person to give emunah to and how that impacts us. So says Rabbi Nachman, Yesh manhigim shenikraim b'shem Rebbe. There are those who are called Rebbe. They have the title, they have the name, they have the office, the position of Rebbe. Shelimuda me'elo hamasaros. Oh, sorry, I was muted. Okay, thank you. I didn't say so much yet, don't worry. So we were just saying that we were starting from the paragraph V'yesh manhigim. So we're going back a couple of paragraphs. So Rabbi Nachman saying V'yesh manhigim shenikraim b'shem Rebbe. There are those who have the title, the office, the position of being called Rebbe. Shelimuda me'ilu hamosaros. But even though they have that status, their learning, that which they learn, and therefore that which they give over, is really from this place of mosaros, which, as we've explained, refers to, the way we're understanding it, refers to a sense, an excess of self, meaning it's coming from a lack of bittul, a lack of being, of having the emunas chachamim that gives a person the amudadem tza'isa, and allows them to find this middle path, but instead they lean in one direction too much or another, and there's an excess of self. And the excess of self leads to mosaros, or is mosaros, which means that they're not necessarily drawing from the right place. And not only can they not be properly manhig themselves, as we emphasized last time, it's a beautiful phrase in Rabbi Nachman, to be manhig oneself, to guide oneself, to lead oneself. And that's the starting point of everything, that a person can only lead others if they're able to lead themselves. So not only can they not lead themselves, and we kol shekain, and certainly if they can't lead themselves, then kol shekain she'em licholm lahanig esachim, they can't lead others. Ve'im notlim gedula la'atzman lahaneg ha'olam. They're taking gedula, they're taking greatness for themselves to lead the world, but it's really just for themselves. That's the excess of self. That's the mosaros. Tzarich liros shelo lahasmechosam. We need to be careful not to give them smicha, as we would call it in our language, not to lean on them. Lahasmich literally means to lean. And this is the point I want to come back to in a minute. We'll come back to it. Shelo litin lehem tokef va'oz, to not give them strength. Shelo yihiyu mechunim b'shem Rebbe, so that they don't have this status of Rebbe. So I was thinking about this, and then it's actually interesting, when I was learning this last time, so it was kind of a couple of weeks ago, and this topic, this language about smicha and giving them strength caught my attention. And then it happened, and I was thinking about it a lot, and then it happened to also be that the next week's parsha, I believe it was Parshas Pinchas, was the parsha where Moshe gives smicha to Yoshua. And so I was thinking even more about what smicha means, and what is smicha. And if you think about it, it really connects deeply, very deeply, to the topic that we're learning about, of emunas chachamim, and mosaros, excess of self. Because what is smicha, if you think about it? What does it mean to have smicha? So of course we know nowadays to have smicha means you take a test, you study in yeshiva, you have smicha from somebody, but what does it really mean? The process of smicha is that the rebbe would lean on the Talmud, literally physically place their hands and lean with their strength. And what happens when a person is leaned on? So either they fall over, or what happens when they're leaned upon is that naturally, when I'm pushed against, if I'm leaned on, it builds a strength inside of me. My muscles contract and I become stronger. I become strengthened to hold up whatever is pushing against me. So if you think about it, it's an amazing thing. What is smicha? Smicha is the Rebbe leaning on, which means giving up their own strength, not being as strong. I can stand on my own. I don't need to lean on anybody. I don't need to fall. but I'm going to intentionally give up of my own strength to fall on, to lean on the Talmud, the next generation, which requires a tremendous amount of bittul on my part, because I need to be willing to forego the control that I have. I am in a position of leadership. I'm the rebbe. I'm running the show currently. When I'm in that position, I have control. I have influence. In order for me to give smicha means I'm letting go of that strength. I'm releasing my self-sufficient capacity to hold myself up. I'm getting rid of my control. And so to speak, I'm trust falling. You know, like the exercise of a trust fall? I'm trust falling into the arms of my Talmud. This is an unbelievable thing to think about if you think about it from the perspective of the current manhig, of the current rebbe. The willingness to give that over, to trust fall. Now, when you do that, the person who's catching you, when the impact of your body hits their body, they are going to become stronger from that. So essentially, what's it saying? How do we strengthen each other? We strengthen each other, we strengthen somebody by leaning on them. When they're leaned upon, they become stronger. But there's an incredible paradox in that. Because what that means now is, well, where does their strength come from? Well, on the one hand, their strength comes from themselves, because it's their strength, it's their muscles that are now holding the person up. But really, if they think about it, what activated that strength? What enabled them to experience and access that strength within themselves? So it's their strength, but where did they how did they gain access to that strength? And oftentimes actually to a strength that they may not have known they had. That comes only from the experience of someone else leaning upon me. So on the one hand, it's my strength, but on the other hand, that strength only came to me from within myself, from the other person leaning on me. So I received that strength from the other person. So there's this interesting thing. If I just think about it for a second. If you go to the gym, right, and you just take your arms and you start like doing, bicep curls, right, like lifting your arms up in that motion, but there's nothing in your hands. So it doesn't really generate any strength. It only generates the muscles if you're holding a weight in your hands. And the greater the weight, the greater muscle you need to access in yourself. So my capacity to access my own muscle is only generated from the presence of other. Which means that if I want to really access my role as a manhig, it's not that I'm making myself a manhig. If I'm making myself a manhig, that's like me going and just lifting air. So I can try and make my muscles as strong as possible, but I'm lifting nothing. I'm making myself the manhig. It's only if others are placing themselves in my hands. Others are somech on me. They're smicha. They are trust falling into my arms. They're leaning on me. Now I become a pillar to them. I access strength. Which means that really becoming a manhig is the process of bittul. It's a process of receiving a hanhaga, or a nihigus, whatever the phrase would be. Receiving the status and the position of being a manhig. Not making myself a manhig, but receiving that place of being a manhig. Which is active because on the one hand I need to be willing to receive, but it's passive in the sense that it's not something generated from within myself. So true smicha is the opposite of mosaros. Because mosaros, as we've learned and we've explained, means the excess of self. I don't want to have emunas chachamim because I don't want other. I don't want the other to make it that I have strength. I want the strength to be my strength. I don't want the strength to be triggered or activated by other. So I'm not willing to lean in or to accept emunas chachamim because I want it to all be me. That's mosaros. Emunas chachamim is this inyan of smicha, means I'm receiving smicha. because the other is leaning on me, which is what activates my strength. I only find my strength from within the other leaning upon me. So the Rebbe leans on me to give me smicha. But it's also interesting because Rabbi Nachman doesn't sound like he's talking only about the Rebbe not being somech on them. He's saying we shouldn't be somech on those who are looking for their own hanhaga, looking to be manhigim. We shouldn't be somech on them. That's both as a Rebbe and also as a Talmud. We shouldn't give them that, because as the Talmud, if we're leaning on them, we're activating that strength. It's like a Rebbe of mine, actually, I think in 10th grade, said this vart over. I don't know who he said it from, but we say in Shemona Esrei every day, we say, "V'nafshi ka'afar lakol tihiyeh," right? That my nefesh should be like dirt to everyone. Nafshi ka'afar lakol tihiyeh. So what does that mean? Why should I be like dirt? So he said, this is Rabbi Danto. I don't know what he's up to now. I don't know where he still is a Rebbe. But he should be blessed. Hopefully everything is good. This is a long time ago, I don't know. But I remember him saying over in class, "V'nafshi ka'afar lakol tihiyeh," is because what happens when dirt is stepped on? When dirt is stepped on, it gets more compacted and it becomes more solid to hold up whatever is pressing against it, whatever's stepping on it. So we're asking Hashem that we should be strong, that when pushed against, we can hold up whatever is needing our support. That's the same in smicha, that we become a manhig by receiving other people's need to lean on us, not our need to go and rule over or have authority over others. And that's Rabbi Nachman is saying, I think. When you're somech on someone, you're giving them strength. Because those who give the strength to those who actually shouldn't be given that strength, they're going to be held accountable for the strength that those people have. So this whole idea is not just an inyan for somebody who has smicha. This isn't about smicha, going to a chag smicha, or how many bechinas you have to take to get smicha, or your deya, or b'chule. This is about how to be a person that can have impact on others. And as Rabbi Nachman writes in a different Torah, I believe it's Torah Nunvav, Rabbi Nachman says that everybody, we mentioned this last night, everybody is a manhig, right? Everybody's a manhig. Some people are manhigim over many people. Some people are manhigim over less, some over their household, their family, and all of us over ourselves. So this whole paradigm of the symbolism or what's embodied and expressed through the act of smicha is really something for every one of us to be thinking about, in how we hold up other people, how we accept the roles of how to be impactful for others that Hashem has given us, whether it's in giving advice to people, whether it's giving tzedakah to people, giving chizuk to people, listening to people, just being someone friendly and shul to people, being welcoming to a new person in your community, whatever the role is, whether it's being a parent, being a spouse, or just working on an inyan even between you and yourself, right? Thinking about something between you and yourself even is an amazing thing. So if you have a struggle with something that you need to get better at, it's almost as if part of you is giving smicha to a different part of you. Part of you that needs help is leaning on the part of you that is wiser, stronger, more patient. Let's say you're impatient and you're struggling with impatience. The part of you that is impatient is giving smicha to the part of you that's more patient, and asking the part of you that's more patient to teach it, to hold it up, to give it strength. So we need to receive that calling. We need to allow ourselves to be called. This is the Hareini Mechavin Lasos Es Atzmi Kisei Umerkava L'Shchina Kedosha, that I'm allowing myself, I'm aligning myself to be a throne, a chair, and a merkava, a chariot for the Shechina. That the strength I have is from within myself, but not from within myself. It's activated from an outside source. And I think this is really what bittul is. So let's read a little bit more in Nachman. We read this already last time, but we focused on it from a different angle. And when a rebbe that is not fit is leaned upon, and therefore their strength is activated, now our writing, as we explained last time, our prominence, the words that come from us are weakened, because somebody who doesn't represent us well is given significance. But then what that means is that everyone is going to immediately or eventually be able to smell or see explicitly that those who have prominence from within us, those who have been leaned upon and given strength, are not actually worthy of that strength. And now, memela, as a natural result, that which is put out, that which is featured and expressed from within us is not going to be seen significantly, for good reason. Ve'in lo shum tokef, and it has no impact now, no strength. Ve'nostim koach b'ksav yodam. So now, memela, where does that? Everyone is searching for something to have authority, for something to be guiding. Everyone is searching for something inspirational. So if that's not going to come from within, they're going to now go and it's going to come from outside. So the ksav yodam of the outside is going to be given strength. Meaning, again, the idea I would think, the way I would put it from what we're talking about tonight is, everyone by nature is so meich on something. Smicha is happening all the time automatically. That's not a negotiable. The smicha is happening. So if our smicha is that we're trustful and we're leaning on people who really can't hold us up, or eventually we can tell that the holding up that they're doing is not really to hold us up. It's to hold themselves up. It's not really holding us up. It's not giving us what we really need. So now what's going to happen? We're going to go and we're going to trust fall into the arms of other outside things that we really shouldn't be. We're going to start trust falling and leaning on other things because again, everyone is hardwired to do smicha. Where are you being somech? And so that's what happens. Now their ksavim become more significant. V'Yisrael muchrachim lilmod ksav shema. Now we're muchrach almost to do it, because again, it's something we need. Goes in gamkin legarish b'nei Yisrael makom hayishuv, and now we're kicked out of our makom hayishuv. We're kicked out of our inner place of living, where we can, from within, we can find life. We can find a place that we can lean upon, that we can settle. Shenis yashvu sham Yisrael kvar, that Yisrael have already lived. El makomo shelo hayu sham Yisrael me'olam. Now we have to stumble to find somewhere that we can settle, we can allow ourselves to lean upon. That's really outside. That's not from within. Ki asmicha shesomchen es harav haksav hema b'china achas. So now, starting the next paragraph, what I want to lead us into to think about, I'll end with a question that hopefully we'll pick up with next time. Is Rabbi Nachman says, because smicha and ksav hema b'china achas, ki asmicha biyadayim. Right, smicha is through the hands lean, and ksav is writing is with the hands. So smicha and ksav are one bechina, and that's why he's connecting them. So the question we'll leave with, of course, is what does that mean? What's the connection? Why is he putting smicha and ksav together? Yes, they're both with hands. Okay, shkayach. But therefore, what? What does it mean that they're both with the hand, and what does that signify, and why does that make them connected? Okay, shkayach.